What is going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is Jay Coffee Talk. New viewers, take that quick moment, sub to the channel and hit the notification bell. But I want to talk to you guys today about this ongoing controversy investigation. A man who died in police custody back in January in Joliet, Illinois, by the name of Eric Lurry, who was arrested during an undercover drug investigation. Died, while police in custody. It's allegations are that he had swallowed some drugs, attempting to not be arrested by police. So what I'm going to do is roll some footage for you guys. What's going on is that the books were closed on this investigation. They said that he passed away, he ingested drugs, and that was that. Well, as we've been talking a lot about police brutality and just different things of that nature, as a lot of wrongdoing by the police, has come out. Someone within the police department blew the whistle on this and released some footage. With this discussion that we have about the police, something that gets brought up a lot is, when police officers who are not up to no good, why don't they ever turn into officers who do break the rules or do break the law? We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. I want to roll this footage for you. Just pay attention, everyone. And as always on this channel, make sure to join the discussion. That's what it's all about on Jay Coffee Talk, hearing what the people got to say.
Wake up! Let's go!
We begin with a controversy exploding about this video obtained by the CBS 2 investigators. It just now surfaced, even though the man you see here, Eric Lurry, died after being in the custody of Joliet police nearly 6 months ago. It's another example of police departments across the country holding back on critical videos that raise questions about misconduct. Only in this case, it was their own training officer who blew the whistle.
So he was suffocating.
In my opinion, anybody would suffocate in that situation.
What was your reaction when you saw that video for the first time?
And seeing that video was so disturbing, I cried. Every day having to live with that was a hard thing, knowing that this administration was probably going to do nothing about it.
This is the cop who blew the whistle on what he calls a 5-month cover-up by his department. Sergeant Javier Escueda sounded the alarm about 2 videos that captured the last moments of Eric Lurry's life.
And you, a 27-year veteran, a sergeant, blows the whistle. Why did you think that was important?
It's important for people to know that things like that can't be tolerated by police departments.
One video was recorded by an outside camera. It shows patrol officers and supervisors watching it happen. But this camera inside the squad, 7 minutes long, is the most critical in capturing how Lurry was treated, especially during a crucial span where his airway appeared to be obstructed, lasting 1 minute and 38 seconds. It all started when this sergeant, Doug May, in plain clothes and a hooded sweatshirt, enters the vehicle and strikes Lurry in the face.
Hey, wake up, bitch! What was the hardest part about watching that you saw?
The hardest part watching that video was watching another fellow sergeant slap him and calling him a bitch on that video, then going straight for his nose, cutting off his airway.
When his nose was pinched and held tight shut, what was happening to him at that moment?
He's suffocating. I'm no doctor, but if you put your finger on your nose or your hand on your nose that way, and you can't breathe.
He says Lurry appeared to be chewing something at first, and with his hands cuffed behind him, starts to close his eyes and become lethargic during his ride to the Joliet police station. Possibly a bag of drugs in his mouth, says Escueda. He also says officers were trying to get him to open his mouth, using a maneuver to cut off his air supply.
That's been written in the law for a couple of years. You can't do that anymore, to try to get them to cough up any kind of drugs in their system.
He says the baton inserted into his mouth and toward his throat was also wrong.
Was that a violation of police procedure?
Yes, I absolutely think so. I can't think of anywhere where I was taught CPR or in the academy where you slap a man, call him a bad name, cut off his airway, go for his throat.
Lurry, a 37-year-old father of 3, was pronounced dead later that night at a hospital. Sergeant Escueda believes he was already dead. You can see one officer eventually heads to the squad with a defibrillator.
There obviously is a lot wrong with that video. And if anybody doesn't feel any pain by watching that, there's something wrong with them.
He says he got the courage to show his face in this interview after seeing the story we broke last night about Lurry's widow, who didn't know videos existed until we told her we got a tip. What do you know?
I don't know anything. I don't know absolutely nothing. I can't get any answers from anyone.
Nicole Lurry says all she knew was what she saw, the final moments of her husband in the ICU.
When I arrived to the hospital, I seen my husband laying there on a ventilator in the emergency room, jerking and tears coming out of his eyes.
For that minute and 30 plus, minute and 38 seconds. What do you feel while you watch that?
Disgust, pain, because I think about what if that was one of my relatives? What if that was my 7-year-old son? That's somebody else's husband, someone else's son, someone else's grandchild. I was always taught, look at people, treat people on the street as if they were your family. How you would want your family to be treated by the police.
All right, so you guys saw that footage. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss this. As I stated, get in the comments. That's what my channel is all about. What are your guys' thoughts? Okay, so with the police, first thing, I want to go over, we discussed a lot of police, not coming forward against other police when they see things that are wrong. Something I've discussed before is, in the streets, the way snitches are viewed as, rats and everything, that kind of stuff goes on within the police department. A lot of police are afraid to speak out, because they'll be, ran up out of there. They'll be the way they'll be treated, what kind of backlash they'll face. And I'm curious, to know what it will be like for this guy, Sergeant Javier Escueda. Like I said, 27-year veteran. He decided to come forward. He felt this was wrong, and he's still on the job. So, I wonder what life will be like for him on the job in the Joliet Police Department, from this point on. Now, with the police, right, with this footage, what we saw, these guys, were mad. They were mad. They saw him trying to swallow drugs, and they said, "We're mad at you," and slapped him around, called him names, and you saw what this officer said. He thought it was disgusting. They said they're sticking the baton in his mouth, blocking his airways, attempting to get him to cough up the drugs. I don't know the exact protocol, right? But I believe what they probably should have done was taken him to the hospital immediately and went from there. Okay, now they were mad. They wanted the evidence. They wanted the drugs, and we saw that. We saw that they were mad, and they took it out on him. I know a lot of people are probably going to say this guy was breaking the law. He gets what he gets. But something I always bring up on this channel is that this is the United States of America, right? We got a court system. We have checks and balances, and police are not judge, jury, and executioner. You guys can let me know how you feel. As always, like I said, that's what I want to hear. Even if we, differ in our view on things, let's talk about it. I can agree to disagree. Now, like I said, the books were closed on this case. It was a wrap. They were closed. He learned of, what was going on and exposed it to his wife, that there were these videos, and leaked them and let her know what was going on. These videos were never meant to see the light of day. So it just makes you wonder what kind of cover-ups happen within police departments, when people have power, you always got to monitor them, that they can abuse that power. It's a very, very powerful thing, when someone has that pen and they make up those reports. Things, can happen how they say it happened. And a lot of police, we know they wear body cams. Those can be erased. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. And I know, like I said, I hear a lot of people feel like, when someone breaks the law, they get what they get. But I mean, if you were in those police officers' shoes, what would have been your reaction? I'm curious to know. Do you take them to the hospital right away, or do you say, and try to make sure he lives, or do you say, I was investigating this guy, he swallowed the drugs, I'm gonna save his life, or you know what, I'm mad because I was investigating him, and now we're not gonna have all the evidence, so he can die, because that's kind of what it seems to me that these officers did. Like I said, a lot of times in these discussions, people point out what's going on with the suspects or whatever, oh, they did this, they did that. No one's saying, everyone who, where there's controversy with the police, that those people were saints. What we're talking about here is there's rules, regulations, and, police have gotten used to not following them, doing what they feel like doing and not really ever answering for it. So things change from being about, people's rights, civil rights and stuff like that, to this is what I feel like I want to do in every situation, basically. Now, the coroner has come back and stated, that they're investigating. They say that the police did nothing wrong. They hold no responsibilities, and, it's not their fault, and that he had fentanyl and cocaine and heroin within his system. And, that's what the coroner's report says. So, I don't know, man. We'll have to, keep an eye on this situation. I'll definitely bring any updates, as I always try to do on all the stories that I cover. But let's talk about this. Get up in them comments. Take that moment. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for anyone new. I do a lot of different topics of videos: music, news, sports, current events, things, legal stuff, all kinds of stuff, so sub to the channel. I'll catch you guys on the next video, but more importantly, comment below, join the discussion. Let's talk about this. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm out of here. Peace.